Good morning, friends. Thanks for joining this morning here. This is Journey Home Meditation, and this is our morning sit. It's our daily practice of shared breathing. We read a little poetry, we do a little contemplation. And I'm Michael, and I'm going to be guiding this session today, and I'm very, very happy to be here to do that. Let me get these glasses cleaned here. Ram Dass talked about polishing the mirror, cleaning up the way we see ourselves, and I like polishing my glasses. I like clearing my vision and how I see the world. So just before we begin today, let's just have a few moments of intentional breath. Depending on where you are right now when you're listening to this, if you're joining us live or if you are watching a archive or listening to the podcast, just take a few moments in your day to do nothing but breathe, bringing all of that attention from the outside world right into your breath. And we are fully engaging. We bring our full attention to something. The great poet Mary Oliver says that attention is the beginning of devotion. And I've always said that this practice that we hold is a devotional practice. This is a practice of devotion to the breath, which is a practice of devotion to life, to our life in this moment right now. We are becoming devoted to life. And I tell my students that attention is the currency of love. When we pay attention, we are paying the cost of love. We are loving. So attention really is the price of admission. Let's get in there today. Just a few more breaths. Taking time to recognize how our body posture changes the way that our breath moves in and out of our body, and how that changes the way that our body is able to receive information. When we are tight, holding on tight to something, grasping, we are closed to outside information coming in. We got a tight grip. And that makes us irritable. We can't listen to long stories. We get irritated in traffic. We become borderline maniacally irate on the phone talking to AI machines to try to get to talk to a person, just shouting, representative. But all of this, all of these reactions, these are just merely the costume being worn by our own grasping. These are just the ways that when the grasping comes onto the stage, we know who it is. We know whether to boo and hiss for the bad guy or cheer for the good guy. Life is like a melodrama, with these overtly played characters that we have. So recognizing why I might be a little irritable in my day. Why I might be unable to receive information. It could be because I'm unable to release. So let's practice that release this morning. Finding that tight place that you discovered when you were bringing your attention to your breath. Let's have a few breaths to shift this morning. We're going to breathe in through our nose to the bottom of our belly. And to do this, we're going to be using the diaphragm to pull the air into the body by moving downwards. This is going to push the diaphragm downward. And this is going to move our internal organs around, creating space for that diaphragm to move into the belly so our belly will grow larger. So we spend a lot of our time sucking in our gut, holding in our gut in this culture. This is a defensive posture. Many people don't know this. A lot of times we think we're doing that because we don't want to, show our wheat belly or our stress belly or whatever it is that we're disliking about our own vehicle today. Whatever we've been told is not attractive. So we suck in our guts and we hold it in. But what's really happening when we do that, we walk around with a tight gut, is we are sending a signal to our body that we are in a defensive position. We're protecting those internal organs by tightening those muscles around it and holding our guts in. And when our body is defensive, it releases more cortisol than necessary. It releases more adrenaline than necessary. So now we have a tightness in our jaw, in the back of our heads. We have inflammation in our joints. We find that we are making fists when we're sitting instead of relaxed. We hunch our shoulders down to protect our hearts instead of opening. So making this shift helps to make all of those other shifts. So soften the belly. Open the shoulder blades just a touch by bringing them together in the back. Your shoulders will open, your chest will open, and your heart will open. Maybe this practice is a practice of vulnerability, a practice of allowing things in. I've heard it said that vulnerability is the first act of courage. So breathe in through the nose to the bottom of the belly. Let's take a few breaths together, and I'm going to invite the bell. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. Okay. Yeah. Some days it's easier than others to feel present. I think some days my practice dissociation is really taking the lead. And that nice reminder that comes from the body when we start to take intentional breaths. It's almost like where have you been? It's good. I'm finding that returning to the practices that I find to be healthful and helpful truly make me feel healthy, and they help. I guess they're not just clever names, but it makes me curious what it is, instead of focusing on the all of the ways to fix myself. Like, this is a big thing that we all get kind of stuck in. This is a trap. This is one of those traps, those method traps, that instead of asking ourselves, why do I want to be anything but me right now, we just assume that that's what we should be doing. We should be becoming anything but who I am in this moment. I heard a gentleman say recently that he just wants to be more content. I found the irony of that to be really funny. And I think he was intending it as a joke, but that is somewhat the basis of a lot of these communities or languages that pop up around these consumable kind of health practices. These consumable health practices how to be more content. Do you need more content in your life? It's funny. The ways in which we can trick our brain into still playing into old roles and old habits. You know, gentler, softer dissociation. Yeah. Maybe it's a level of harm reduction. I don't know. But I was recognizing that I think that there is a driving factor for that type of behavior, that falling into that role of, I don't want to be like this, I don't want to feel like this. Because the shift is pretty quick, honestly, when we can do just the few things that open us up to better feeling our bodies, to better processing what the feelings are, to open ourselves up into compassionate understanding of our bodies. And the ways in which we cope each day with some of the overwhelm that we've created in this world. The shift is very quick. It really is almost like flipping a switch. But again, it's finding that switch in a darkened room. And I think that our brains come up with this belief that every darkened room is a new darkened room with new obstacles, and we have to feel our way back to the light switch every time. And we're strangers in this strange land, you know. And we keep searching for new methods by which to fumble through the darkened room to get to the light switch. And I know that I'm extending this metaphor pretty far, but it goes somewhere. When we can recognize that it's not the methods that get us to the switch. It's the recognition that I can find this. I can do this. Like, I'm capable. And the thing that tells us that we can't, I think, is often shame. I think shame is that driving force. We were talking about this yesterday in our Monday group life support here at Journey Home. It's a fantastic group, and everybody's welcome to join because we do it both in person and it's hybrid onto Zoom. So we have a Zoom set up in the room, and we can participate with Zoom participants as well as in person. So I highly recommend giving it a shot. It's on Mondays at 2:30 PST, 2:30 Pacific Standard Time. And you can find the link for that on our Journey Home Facebook page or at journeyhome.care, journeyhome.care. That's how you're going to get to links for the things that we do here at the Beside and at Journey Home. But we were talking about the relationship of failure, fear, and shame. And so it really came into context for me this morning as I'm lying in bed and my body's sore. You know, I have achiness. And immediately my brain wants to find the failure of mine in that. Immediately I go to, how am I failing my own body? Which lends itself towards the fear that I'm just going to keep getting worse. This is going to keep getting more difficult. It's not going to get better, which leads to the shame of, look what you did to yourself. But the reality there was different than that today. Those were the thoughts that were creating the emotional reaction to the way that I felt when I woke up. But what was happening was I was cold. It was cold in the room. It's getting colder. And I hadn't moved my body enough yet. And so I started gently moving my body, getting little joints going, just right there under the blankets, moving my feet, my ankles, my knees, moving my wrists, doing this, moving my neck a little bit. And then I started doing breathing practices right there, first thing. Really trying to get my body activated, and quickly enough, just with those few basic things, my body was shifting. So I stood and I put myself through a little bit of a regiment of movement, and I had fun with it. I actually put music on, and instead of feeling like I had to do these rigorous moves with these intense postures and hold for 90 seconds, I danced. I swayed my arms, I moved my body, and I danced to music. I lifted my knees, shook my butt. I did all of these things in a way that was fun, in a way that was inviting, in a way that released shame. There was no shame involved with that. And like that, my entire mindset opened up to a different feeling about my body and my day. And then that darkened room that felt so foreign, that was, that is the metaphor of my emotional pain, my shame. Pardon me. That darkened room all of a sudden wasn't so hard to navigate. I could find that switch. I flipped it, and there I was in the light of day. Like, okay, I got this. This body is beautiful. This body is mine. This body hurts sometimes, but this body carries me through life. And I am grateful. And I am not separate from this body. I am in this body. My mind is a part of this body. My emotions are sensations in this body. So I sat and I just brought myself home. I brought myself home right there. And in doing that, I started to recognize the ways in which my shame may have led me into dissociative practices of unhealth, And this reminds me of, and I brought this up, I actually sort of had this memory even in the group last night as we're doing some group processing about failures, fear, and shame. I started to recall a time in my life when my drug addictions took precedence over paying rent or eating food, and I lost my home. And in losing my home, I quickly recognized that I had lost my friends because I had nowhere to stay. One friend invited me to stay there, but my addictions were too much, and I had to leave that space too. I was so far spiraled into the isolation of addiction that I thought that I was the only one who had to deal with my problems, and I was the only one who could fix myself, and I was the only one who could take on this addiction. I didn't know at that point that that's the exact opposite of what I needed. I needed to find myself into a community of people who I could help share those experiences with, so that I didn't feel like I was doing this all alone. That's what I needed. I needed to find people that I felt safe with in my life. It didn't work for me to go to AA meetings and NA meetings because I never felt safe in those meetings in that early recovery. I do now, and I enjoy those meetings now, but and as I'm working through that memory, I recognized that, one, I had a lot of resentments, thinking that my friends had abandoned me, but mostly I had a strong belief that I was abandonable, that I wasn't worthy of them not abandoning me, that People abandoned me because I was worthless. And that's not true. That was my cognitive distortion. That was my brain rationalizing what happened. And yesterday I started recognizing, you know what? I actually taught all of the people in my life how to love me by the way that I loved myself, which was not good. I abandoned myself years before that. I abandoned myself daily. And I taught my friends that I was hard to be around. And I understand that now. I understand that we are always teaching others how to love us. So we shouldn't be surprised when they do. And of course, I'm talking about otherwise healthy relationships. I'm not talking about predatory relationships or the people in our lives that are causing us harm. I'm talking about we teach the people in our lives that we are in safe relationship with how to love us all the time. And that means if we are emotionally closing all the time, then we are teaching people that we are emotionally unavailable. And then the emotions can't get through the same. If we are teaching people in our lives that we are emotionally without boundaries, then they will behave without boundaries. They won't recognize our boundaries because we haven't created them for ourselves. And our boundaries are ours. Rules are what we put onto others, and boundaries are what we have for ourselves. And if we don't have boundaries for ourselves, understanding what we have to offer and what we need, and to function, then we're going to teach that to people, and our relationships will reflect that. And I learned all of that last night, and it came through to me really clearly this morning. When I dissociate from my own body, I am teaching myself how to love myself. And yes, it's true that we involuntarily dissociate at times as a protective measure. But when we can become aware that that's what we are doing, we can ask ourselves if that's really what we need in this moment, or if we're just doing what works because it's worked in the past. And is that actually what we need right now? So all of these things started coming through, and then I started recognizing that the strive for new methods all the time is a shame-driven drive. It's a shame-driven behavior for myself. So there's that light switch coming on, and there's shame in the room. Ah, yes, shame. I didn't realize you were here, but there you are. Great. Let's sit down. Let's work through it. So thanks for being here this morning to do that. I just wanted to share that experience with you all. And I wanted to bring us to Bell Hooks' Appalachian Elegy. Oh, I just recognized that my chat wasn't open there, and now it is. And hello, Brother Silas. Good to see you again, my friend. It's been a long time. I just sent love your way through your grandma yesterday. I love your grandma. She's my grandma, too. We're going to get into Bell Hooks' Appalachian Elegy. And for people who aren't aware, you can use the chat feature on whatever format you are viewing this in. If you are viewing this live, there is a chat feature in Substack, there's a chat feature on YouTube, and there's a chat feature, of course, in Facebook to comment while we are live. And in doing that, you may just connect with other people that you can share your experiences with. And that's the whole purpose of this entire project. connection and sharing our experiences. So we are on number 28 today in Bell Hook's Appalachian Elegy. We are working through from the beginning. So number 28. Morning dawn, mist-covered day, dreaming triumph and victory, horses gather. A herd at the top of the hill bonded, whispering souls ready to run, speaking a language only they can hear, sounds beyond interpretation. No heavy riders move in this magic time, no need to tame and mount. All at once they race to reach the beyond. Well, Bell Hooks is really painting a picture, these last few offerings, of sort of these wild horses, right, that she's witnessing in the Appalachian hills of her birth, of her childhood. Morning dawn, mist-covered day, dreaming triumph and victory, horses gather. A herd at the top of the hill. You can visualize that. It's very visual to see these horses in the morning mist. But when she moves forward, I have a feeling that the horses are also, we have the microcosm to the macrocosm. So there's the internal aspect, there's the body, there's the space around us, there's the communities we keep, there's the regions we are a part of, there's the planet that we live on. Like, it just keeps going, right? Like the view. And each of these things are kind of mirroring each other. So when a poet is talking about something, you can almost always guess that they're talking about something else. And as beautiful as the thing is, the horses at the hill, I'm wondering where the metaphor of whispering souls ready to run, speaking a language only they can hear, sounds beyond interpretation. Yesterday as well, we were having a morning group that I have for elders here called the Elder Tree. And we've been doing this for a couple of years, and we have this really beautiful bonded group of elders, and we share discussions. And yesterday, one of our participants was sharing that she has had this belief in her life that people weren't giving her love. People weren't happy to see her when she came in the room. People weren't inviting her into their hearts or into their lives. She didn't feel that. She said, I never felt that. Growing up, I never felt that for most of my life, that I was being invited in or being loved by people. I didn't hear that. And I said, when I'm in New York, at any moment, you're surrounded by like one of hundreds of languages, right? You'll probably hear 30 languages in a day if you walk through the city of New York. And if I'm sitting on the subway, I may hear a conversation. It may be Mandarin, it may be Thai, it may be Vietnamese. It could be Tagalog or Hindi or Russian or German. You just don't know. You're going to be sitting in these multicultural spaces with people speaking these languages I don't speak. And when I'm sitting there and they're speaking these languages that I don't understand, I don't even hear them. I don't hear them. I can sit and read my book, and there could be 5 conversations, 6 conversations happening right in my direct presence. And if they were speaking English, it would be hard for me to focus on my book because I would know what they're saying, and my attention would be drawn to it. My attention would be drawn to what they are saying because I would understand it. But the fact that I don't speak any of these other languages, I'm sitting and I can not even hear what's the sounds that are being said. I can sit and read. I can focus internally. I can do all that. And I said, that's like love. If we never learned a language of welcoming and invitation and love, if in our lives we never learned how to hear that we were being loved, if we never learned how people communicate love to us, if that's a language we didn't learn, then we're never going to hear it. It's not going to grab our attention. It's not until we are speaking in the language of love that we can hear love beckoning us in. And I see this so often, and I see this so clearly right now. There are so many people who have never heard that language of invitation. They don't know what that language is. They don't know that language of acceptance. They don't know that language of love, that language of care, that language of kindness. In their lives, maybe they were raised in a culture that said, fuck your feelings, work harder. And you can purchase flags, hoodies, bumper stickers. I've seen all these things say exactly that. No one cares, get back to work. And there's this applauding of that, because there's a Stockholm syndrome that if you were raised in a house by people who told you that every day, then you believe that that is a love language, that that's how you show love to your family, is you shut up about your feelings and you go to work. And that's what you do. And anybody who's not doing that is the problem. They're the reason that you suffer. So now you're mad at the world. And when somebody says, hey, can't you just have some compassion? They say, nobody ever had compassion for me. Why should I have compassion for anyone else? That's the belief. The belief is that nobody's ever invited them into love because they never have learned that language. So they don't understand it when it's coming to them. They don't understand it. They simply can't hear it. It's not that they're willfully ignorant to these things. It's honestly that they can't hear it. I think it's really important that we assume positive intent. And that means that we assume that somebody is doing what they know how to do to meet the needs that they have, and it really doesn't have that much to do with you. It really doesn't have that much to do with you. It's their process. But I don't have a solution or an answer for how to teach someone the language of love other than to keep speaking it by showing up and doing it. Just showing up and doing it. As hard as it is, as much as we fail, as much as I fail, as much as I get irritated and angry, or I just some days can't take it, as much as that may happen, to continue showing up humbly and saying, hey, I'm just here just like you, and I just want to make a space where I can feel okay to be gentle. I can feel okay to be vulnerable. And that means I'm going to have to be vulnerable to your harshness. But understanding in that moment, that shift, that light switch, there it is. The room is no longer dark. What's in the room? Shame is in the room. Hi, shame. What's in the room? Fear is in the room. There's fear. What's in the room? Failure. I'm going to keep failing, meeting these people with love. I'm going to keep failing not because I'm a failure, but they don't hear the language I'm speaking. Okay, just keep speaking it. Eventually, they'll get it. It's like I work with teenagers as a teacher, and the slang changes, man. Communications change. Every generation's got different communication, and they should. They should speak a secret language. Like these horses on the hill, they should speak their own language, a secret language. But you're around it enough, you start to pick up on it. You start to understand what it is that's being said. And you start to witness the communication, and it's really just the way that they're finding safety with one another. They are meeting their own needs. It has nothing to do with you, boomer. Cut it out. Let them speak to each other. Witness that language as a positive intention for love and safety. And keep speaking your language of love. And you can meet. You can meet there. So thanks for being here this morning. I really appreciate it. Please, if you are listening to this and you enjoy any of the content, first off, just communicate. Send comments, chats. Respond publicly. There's a lot of people, I see the numbers. There's a lot of you out there listening to this, and there's a lot of people that tell me in private how much it means to them each day. But I want you to communicate with each other. I want all of us to share this language. Finding our way through these darkened rooms together, it's really a lot easier when each of us can shine a little bit of a light. Your light may not be strong, but it's there. And every little bit of light, the more we shine, the more we're going to see. So communicate. Please, that's the first step. Following, subscribing, it's free. And sharing these things through your social medias with the people in your life. That's the vulnerability of courage right there. To say, hey, you know what? I've been actually participating in these health practices, and it might be a little embarrassing because you might think it's woo-woo, or you might think it's, some new fad that's going to pass. But this does help me in my day, and I thought I'd share it with you all. These are the ways that we can widen our perspective in our conversation. This isn't about me getting my voice out there. I want to hear your voices. I want us to have communication. I want to have guests join me on camera on these morning broadcasts, having these discussions so we can hear multiple perspectives. But to do any of that, we have to widen our reach. So if you could help me to do that, that would be lovely. Thanks so much for joining today. All in love.